It is a Friday, the 16th of June, 2023, and we are here to give you the issues at hand and talk about exactly what is making headlines, especially it's a Friday, so we shall be looking at the police department in particular. I do have a guest in studio, but before that, I'd like to let you know that our social media platforms are very, very open for you, for the discussion to continue right there. It is Church of Uganda Family TV on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as our YouTube, where you can get these videos and keep the comments coming in. My name is Karen Wamani. You're welcome to today's issues at hand. Let us welcome our guest, a very, very special guest, Senior Superintendent of Police, Donald Muhwezi. You're very welcome today.
Thank you, Carol, and the viewers. Like she has told you, I'm called Donald Muhwezi. I don't know why people call me Muhwezi. I am Muhwezi, which means the assistant or the vice or the deputy of my father.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here. I wish you a good show.
All right. Let's start with yesterday's budget. We would like to know from the security side of things, was the money allocated to you enough? And basically, is it going to help you handle the things in the next financial year?
To the viewers out there, I am sure the budget must be out in the public.
Yes.
You must have seen. I am happy that security was made a priority and given money. It may not be enough. You will never get enough money, especially true. The economy that we have now. The post-COVID economy is not a good one. And I'm happy it was made the first priority. Security in general received the biggest chunk, 3.8 trillion. And some people are complaining, people claim that's too much. Here should have been number one, education. But if you want to prove that you can't do anything minus security, go to Somalia, go to Sudan now, go to Congo and put their money in agriculture and you see if you can get anything. It's very, very important to have security as number one. The word security may sound general. And when you talk about security, people may think of uniform, vehicles, running around. But a country, a state cannot survive when its borders, when its sovereignty is not secure.
True.
Some security things are not disclosed. They are secret, top secret, restricted. But I can assure you, for the good of Ugandans, we must have security covered. And as a person from security, I am comfortable and I'm happy with my commander-in-chief and the Minister of Finance that they saw it wise to have security sorted before anything else. Okay.
So you talked about the post-COVID economy. I would like to understand from your point of view, how did the whole COVID, those 2 years, how did they affect security as a sector?
Like I told you, our budget is always given to Parliament, given to different agencies, and we can't be an island. You can't have a poor economy and then you expect more money to come to security. So many things have changed. The crime has changed its shape to cybercrime, to terrorism. So you can't remain the same. When we talk about security, people think of salary of police officers or UPDF, but we have recruitment. The numbers are increasing. People are producing on a daily basis.
True.
So you must double your numbers. If you talk about police, for example, the standard figure should be one police officer at 500 people.
Yes.
But in this country, up to today, it's 1 to 800.
Oh.
So the ratio is still not up to the standard. So we need money to recruit, to train, to refresh, to arm. We need to work on the welfare of the police officers and other security agencies. We need to work on intelligence. If there's something that is expensive in security world, is intelligence. Because the criminals are rich.
Oh.
The criminals of today are extremely connected, specialized, organized. They cross borders. So for you to counter them, you must be ahead of them. True. You must have superior weapons. You must train people. You must have skills. You must have your officers or your security agencies settled in terms of salary, in terms of welfare, accommodation. So this requires a lot of money. But as I told you, COVID brought everything down. It brought our tourism down. Our businesses closed, companies closed here and outside. So the economy is not doing well. It's not doing well, and that's why different units had what they call budget cuts. You budget for 1 trillion, they give you half of it, and you must move on. You must move on.
Okay. So to do with intelligence, like you mentioned, is it that anybody who joins police can be able to do the work of intelligence, or do you need special people, and do they also need special training?
To begin with, when we join forces, we all undergo a basic course.
Yes.
Initial basic course, which is normally 9 months, and it's from at that point during training that people are identified with different skills.
Okay.
And at the end of the course, different departments are able to recruit from this trained group: traffic, counterterrorism, criminal intelligence, CID. So when you're picked to join a specific department, if you're picked to join traffic, you undergo induction course in traffic. If you're picked to join intelligence department, you're taken through intelligence protocols and what they study. So there's extra course for specific department that you join.
All right. So this 3.8 trillion Uganda shillings is going to cover traffic, is going to cover
it's for security
as a whole. Okay.
UPDF, CMI is so entire. It's money for security. What is called security in this country.
All right. Moving away from the budget, there was a case where people, as police officers, raided Sheikh Kamuga's home. We saw some videos that were not pleasing to the eye. I don't even want to get into it so much. I just want to get it from you. Did these people have a search warrant? Why did they why did they act the way they did? Are they allowed to act like that? And if a police officer acts like that, how do you people handle such a police officer?
Thank you, Carol, and the viewers. Your question has 2 parts. The first part is, was the operation lawful? And the second part was it handled well? Now, when police receive information or intelligence about something, they are required to respond. The Constitution allows police to use all sorts of means or force to access your premises.
Okay.
Whether you open for them or not, they can forcefully enter.
They are allowed to forcefully
The Constitution allows police to break into your premises.
Oh.
If you lock them inside, the law allows them to break outside. So that one should be understood from the onset.
Okay.
Police received information about people at Kamuga's place, and responding was in order.
Okay.
Now, what we must condemn as police and the entire public is how did police officers behave at the scene. Police as an institution has laws. It has a Police Act. It has the Constitution itself. It has so many laws that guides its performance of its activities. And the police officers know how to arrest, how to search, how to detain a suspect, and so on and so forth. And they also know what happens to an individual when you unprofessionally manage the scene, or torture, or harass, or mistreat a suspect. What is also clear is that every suspect is innocent until proved guilty.
True.
The law in this country says somebody is innocent, even if you find him killing, until this gentleman or woman says it is true, I am guilty, or you have evidence beyond reasonable doubt to prove that he did it. So our police officers at Eunice Kamuga's residence performed poorly. They were very unprofessional.
Yes.
Because the essence of entering that place was 1, to arrest, 2, to search, 3, to rescue the so-called victims, because the intelligence was that their kids and their parents are the ones who had complained. So the intention was to go and rescue the kids. But from the video footage, you don't see any rescue.
Yes.
You don't see clear search. I don't want to go into the video because we're in an era where there's a lot of doctoring videos and footages and Photoshop. So that video is a subject to investigations. Okay. But let's assume it was true. As an institution, we condemn the acts of the police officers at that place. Because there is no procedure, there is no policy of the police that gives the police officer mandate to torture, to embarrass, to do what they did at that place. It's not there. And what we see in the video are acts of individuals. But that's not the end. I have told you that we have institutions in police that condemn and manage such errant officers. We have a department called Professional Standards Unit, called PSU. We have a directorate, a full directorate of human rights and legal services. We even have courts. When an individual is tortured, is embarrassed, he has all the rights to take an individual police officer to court. You also have a right to take the government to court. I don't know whether people know it. You can take the state to court by suing Attorney General. And people have gotten compensation. People have gotten money out of this. Police officers have been dismissed. Police officers have been reprimanded. If you have a rank, they demote you. If you have salary, they fine you to half your salary or 3/4. This is happening every day. Okay. So these specific officers, if you watch the press statement, the official statement of the police, have been suspended pending trial at a disciplinary level, because we have disciplinary courts to try and put our errant officers, because we're human beings at the end of the day. These police officers you see are not robots. They are your sons, they are your daughters, they are your husbands and wives. They are actually a product of the community. Very true. Sometimes you see mob action, you see people beating each other, you see husbands killing wives, you see wives killing their kids. So our officers are a product of the community where they come from. But as an institution, we definitely have structures, we have courts to have these people behave differently. By the time you finish training, by the time you're deployed to protect life and property, then you must have a difference from where you come from. Sure. So these officers I am very, very sure they are going to be arraigned to court, disciplinary courts, and the punishments are going to be very severe. Very, very severe.
What kind of punishments are we talking about here?
The punishments of police range from dismissal with disgrace. That statement is very, very strong. It means you've been a police officer for 10 years, 20, 15, 1, and you wake up and they remove everything from you, you become a civilian. And you have no benefits at all. You can't claim anything, you can't get anything with you. Then there's detention, then there's demotion, depending on the rank you have. There's also a fine, they fine you with money. Oh. If you're getting your salary of 500, they can say pay 200 per month.
Okay, for a period of time.
For a period of time. So, the punishments, police officers know that they are very, very, very strict and strong. Okay. And it sends a message. Our intention is not only to punish this person, but also to send a message to somebody who has not done it. If you do this, this happens to you. If you don't do this, this will happen to you. Okay.
There are issues where individuals are tortured. Let me not go into it, but there are issues where police officers come and arrest someone in a very, very bad way. And it's even speculated that police has torture chambers. In case they want information from you, there's a way they can handle you. Is that true?
Those are stories that you will never prove. I can assure you, police as an institution has a constitutional mandate. Police is established under Article 211, and it is given its mandate under Article 212. If you read the mandate of police, they are all pro-people. The first one is to protect life and property. There is no way you can protect my life when you're torturing me. What a police officer does or should do should be in good spirit. The Constitution gives police powers to help the community, to do good things generally, without even going into legal terms. We have all the powers. We have the powers from you to protect you. So we can't use this same power to torture you.
Okay.
There is a law called Human Rights Enforcement Act 2019. At your own time, you will read it and see that even when you have evidence got from a suspect after torturing him, this case won't go on in court.
Okay.
And police officers know it. If I tortured you and you accepted that you killed somebody, the evidence got out of torture invalidates the case.
Oh.
If we have been having you for murder and this suspect proves that he was tortured, the case of murder is put aside and this person is set free. So there is no police officer who is sensible that can get evidence from a suspect through torture. Because at the end of the day, this case won't go on.
Okay.
That is one. Two, let's not assume that police officers come from another country. We are your own people. Today I'm a police officer, tomorrow I will retire and get back to my community. I don't see any police officer who will walk with his head high after watching the footage that we all saw. Or anybody calling you and said, I saw you on TV, that was nice. We also have feelings. A sensible officer, a police officer who is trained and who knows his duty, must be feeling bad after watching or hearing stories that people talk about, that a police has a gazetted place for torture called torture chamber. I have never seen one, and I can assure you from the perspective of the institution, there is no policy that sets up such places. It's not there. We don't have, we're not mercenaries. Police is not a mercenary force. We are a pro-people force.
So torture is illegal?
It's not only illegal, it's an old school thing. Even to schools, even to normal people, if you're a husband and you're beating your wife or you're torturing your kids, you must be out of your mind. You must, I am telling you why we come to TVs and radios, to tell people that a police as an institution or a police as a post or division or a district police structure should be owned by people.
Yes.
Police officers in Masindi don't graze cows or don't treat people in hospitals. They are working on people.
Yes.
So if you mistreat people, if you distance yourself from people, what's your role in that community? Number one. Number two is that our own people, the viewers out there, have removed all their powers and given the powers to the police. Ideally, mwananchi should be respected by police.
True.
Mwananchi is the one who pays taxes that we all use to get salary, uniform, transport, fuel, and so on and so forth. So when you come to the station, you have a stake. If I am deployed in Arua, I must respect the people of Arua, starting from leaders, religious leaders, local leaders, and the common person in Lira. I can't be having good intentions for the people of Lira more than their leaders. That would be madness.
True.
Two, as a common person, do you have a relationship with police? Do you know your rights? Do you know where you start and end? It is through this confusion that the police, few of them take advantage of people who are not informed. There's a saying that information is power.
Yes.
And lack of it gives you fear. How many people know their rights? How many people know their OCs? How many people walk to the station to find out what the police should do or does? Or who is the OC, or who is the DPC, who is the OC traffic? Who mobilizes people and calls OC traffic in their communities to come and talk to them? Before we do operation of borders and tax, which leader goes and says, please come talk to my people? Because before you arrest me, you must tell me why you want me to put on the element. You get my point?
Yes.
The community must be informed. The laws must be pro-people laws.
Yes.
If you're saying we put on element, why? Is it a design? Is it because somebody has brought elements from Dubai and he wants to sell them? Why are you saying I should drive a car with this and this and this? What is the role of third party? Why are you interested in my tires being new? So if there is no willingness from the community to be sensitized by police, then the police uses that gap, the ignorance of the community to mistreat them. And that's why our department finds time, and I want to thank this management of this place,
Yes.
to give us time to talk to the community. That police is yours. It must be owned. First of all, those who work there are your own kids. The community where they are your communities, and we deploy them to have the place secure.
Okay. Thank you so much. We get into the commemoration of the African child right after the break. And before I go, I would like to let you know that I'm with SSP Donald Muhwezi, and we're discussing police issues. When we return, it is the African child. Stay with us. Welcome back to Issues at Hand. My name is Karen Oamani. I'm here with SSP Donald Muhwezi, and we're discussing police matters. Of course, we are commemorating the Day of the African Child today. But before we go there, I'd like to understand from the unit where he is, it's called Community Policing Department. What do they do? What are they about? And then we'll get into other questions.
The viewers out there, Community Policing is a department in Uganda Police Force. It's under the Directorate of CPC. We are as old as other departments, but the word community policing comes from two words, community and then policing.
Okay.
We have a traditional institution. Police started back in the days, to be specific, in 1906. And the reason why police was established then was to force the Africans here, the Ugandans, because at that time we were under the colonial regime. And some people had refused, I think, to plant coffee, cotton, and cocoa. And there were different demonstrations around the country. So these people established a paramilitary or a constabulary force called police then, specifically to force people to plant cocoa, coffee, and those cash crops then, and then stop the demonstrations. So in the beginning, police as an institution was against the people. It was on the side of the colonialists. Now, this went on up to late 80s or early 80s, and the tasks of police moved beyond forcing people to plant cash crops. But the means remained the same. People come and report, the reaction is harsh, the arrest is bad. So, as an institution, police realized that people were away from the institution. There was a huge gap between police and the community. So they had to change the means from colonial policing to community policing. To bridge the gap between the community and the police. A proactive strategy which focused on pillars that I'm going to tell you. One is partnership. If you move around the country, you'll find police stations built by people. You'll find motorcycles donated to police by people. You will find the community renting premises where police officers are staying. Because the country and the envelope is not enough to cater for everything that we need, we needed to partner with the community. Another pillar is problem identification. I have told you that if you deployed me in leader, one, I am not comfortable in language. Two, I don't know the people. So it's hard for me to know the problems of leader. So police realized that identifying problems of a community required community and police to sit together. The other one is solving problems. If the problem is marijuana, if the problem is the electricity, if the problem is children in the area not going to school, you must share the solution. You must get the solution from the community.
Okay.
Now, that's how community policing came. It started around 1993 with Old Kampala and Katwe, and now it's everywhere. We have structures down the station, the region. You have a regional community policing officer, whom we call a community liaison officer. If you come to the station and you're unable to get services from OC traffic, there is a police officer called CLO, Community Liaison Officer, somebody who can listen to a member of the community of the law. Somebody does not need really to listen to part of the law, but what is your problem?
Okay.
And then he brings you to a specific office. They are more of sensitizing officers. They bridge the gap because there's a lot of English at the police, which is sometimes is unnecessary. There is a lot of fear in the community, which I have told you is unnecessary because I am a son of a civilian.
Yes.
I am a husband of a civilian. So why would somebody be comfortable to be my wife and then they fear to come to police? Why would somebody host a police officer and then fear to pass at the station? So that fear is unnecessary.
Okay.
But we have a police officer from our department who should bridge the gap, who should bring the community closer.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the police and the community must shoot in the same goal.
True.
A day you wake up and the community is shooting in a different goal and the police is in a different, then there's a problem. So that's how community policing department came up.
Thank you so much. Because we are commemorating the Day of the African Child, how are juveniles handled in police? If they committed a certain crime and came in for judgment, what is the first step and how are children handled different from adults?
That's a very important question. The viewers out there must know who is a child. There's a difference between a child and a juvenile.
Okay.
The Constitution defines a child as somebody below the age of 18. A juvenile is somebody who is below 12 years. Our laws believe that somebody below the 12 years cannot commit a crime knowingly.
Okay.
Even when they do, they shouldn't go away with it. If a 6 or a 7 or 12-year-old kid killed somebody, we don't say, please, that is okay, he's a kid and he should go on. If a 12-year-old kid is a victim, the one who has committed a crime against a juvenile is punished differently. For example, if you rape a 19-year-old woman and you rape a 11-year-old kid, the punishment is different.
Okay.
So the law separates people depending on age. That is number one. Number two, as an institution, we have departments that deal with children. We have a department of family protection, child and family protection unit,
Yes.
which falls under my directorate at the station. Because kids shouldn't be treated like elders. How you interrogate, how you investigate, how you take their statement, you must have special skills. If you brought a kid in the station at the office of the OCCID and you say, what did you do? What happened? What did you see? The kid will not say anything.
True.
He may actually cry. But we have special people, we have special training for people who talk to kids.
Okay.
Because kids act as witnesses, they are victims, they are suspects. So you must have a way of talking to kids. And most of our stations, we have even improved facilities where kids can be given toys, where they can be given drinks and eats, so that you can have a kid feel free to talk to a police officer. If a kid is involved in a crime or contravenes a certain law in Uganda, I've told you he doesn't go scot-free. If you're 11 and you've killed somebody, you are taken through the process. And when court convicts that kid, is remanded in a home. They are not taken to Rizira. These people end up in remand homes. We have some in Naguru here, we have one in Impiji called Kampiningisa.
Okay.
Different regions have different remand homes. That's where these kids go. But even at the police, you do not bring a kid and detain a kid with an old man in the same cells. Even when we have issues of space, we are very, very strict about it. Because if you have a kid of 12 and you detain him with murderers and rapists, at the end of the day, you're training this kid to be like those people. So we have cells for juveniles, we have cells for women, we have cells for men. That is number one. There are areas where we find to rehabilitate them, to put them, to treat them different. If some kids do things out of situations at home, so we work with districts. There's a probation officer And those people help police a lot. They have funds, which we don't have most times. And they do the work of rehabilitating these people, reuniting them with families, taking them to remand homes. After serving their sentence, they bring them back to community. And they facilitate police in all these things. Back to how cases are reported. Cases are reported depending on their nature, and how we respond, it depends on the gravity of the case. If somebody burnt a house, you may not take the whole procedure. But if somebody slapped you yesterday or took your goat, you may follow the whole procedure. So when it comes to kids, the response should be fast. When it comes to the health, the rights of kids, the response from police should be very, very fast. And that's why we are calling our partners to facilitate us, so that you have a good environment at the police. If one of you or the viewers, you've ever been at police, you know the environment. It shouldn't be the same environment where we should have our child victims or suspects. The NGOs out there, the churches, should find within their budgets to help police to have better places to accommodate our kids who contravene or who come in conflict with the law, so that they can be treated as if they're in their homes.
The issue of child marriage, early child marriages, do you get cases of these reported to you? If yes, then what is the next step by police?
Thank you, Carol, for raising the issue of early child marriage. First of all, I've told you the Constitution defines a child as somebody who is below 18.
Yes.
And in Uganda, we have people who confuse being in school as being a child. If your child is 19 and is in P7 or is in senior 1 and is impregnated, he's not a child. I had a situation where somebody said, how can my senior 2, how can my P7 girl? I said, yes, but how old is she? And this person was 19. I said, this is not a child. You can even be 30. There is no law that stops somebody from being in primary. You can even be 30 and you're in P1.
True.
And you're not a child. You have, when you're above 18, you can consent sex. So if for you to qualify for either defilement or underage or early childhood marriage, you must be below 18. That is number one. People should understand it. 2, there are practices, there are traditional practices that encourage early child marriage, early child pregnancy. In Sebei, for example, there are so weird old traditions. In the Western Uganda, we've seen cases, but these days they have reduced, where they give a child of 17, 16 in exchange of 20, 15, 12 cows. And where police has been informed, we respond and remove this young kid from so-called marriage. But the problem we have is that communities embrace it. People think it is normal that my child of senior 2 who is 16 can be married and I get 12 cows. There's a lot of economics involved. There's a lot of self-interest in these things. The father is involved. The mother fears the father. The one who has taken, he finds it okay. So police is not given information in the right time. Even when you try, the relatives and parents will come and connive and negotiate, and they withdraw cases, and you have a case which has nobody following it. But I can assure you, we've put strong measures. First of all, a child in Uganda belongs to the government. I don't know where people know it. If you beat your own child, if you don't give your child food, the government of Uganda will take you on.
Interesting.
In this country, the child belongs to government. So whether you willingly give your child to another useless man to marry her, the government of Uganda will take you on. And we have seen this trend going down. We had a few cases in Nakaseke, Bulemezi, we had another case in Lakai, and the response was so fast, and the kids went back to school. We have been saved by school life. By the time a girl child finishes school, he's old enough to get married. But when you have kids back home not going to school. That's where the story begins from. There's that period when somebody's idle and the parents are looking for cows from her, and her herself is already spoiled. She will lie. The whole process will tell you we are 19, but somebody is 16. And kids of these days, a 16-year-old can look like a 20-year-old woman. So we have a challenge of community, we have a challenge of relatives and parents, but I want to assure the viewers out there that if you get your own kid and sacrifice her because of 12 or 15 cows, this woman will enter a lifetime suffering. Even people who get married at the right age, 30, are running out of that institution.
Yes.
How about this small kid, 16, 17, uneducated, forced? How will she handle that institution? The institution of marriage is for people who are ready, people who are willing, people who are in love. But you lift somebody, you kidnap a kid with intention to force her into marriage. It's not only illegal, but it's immoral. And we want to ask the church and other leaders to fight it, to talk about it. Kids must be in school. That's the only way to go. We have free education, we have government schools, we have cheap schools that everybody can manage. Let's have our kids in school to avoid early childhood marriage and pregnancies.
All right. So for the children that are taken to Camp Piringisa or other homes, don't they face mental challenges because they are living with police officers at a very young age because of maybe the crimes they committed? But don't they get affected mentally? And when do you allow this child to get out of that home?
I told you that kids who go through courts and are convicted go through remand homes. Why remand homes? Because the setup and the structure is of a home. Those structures are not manned by police.
Okay.
They are manned by Ministry of Gender and Labor Development. They are counselors. They are women who are mother-like. So the intention is to rehabilitate them. The intention is not to punish them. So once you're given 2 years, 4 years, you serve your 2 years and return back home. And they be monitoring. They monitor you. There are people who actually become more dangerous and escape. But there's a report given at the end that this person served the sentence, and I think she or he has reformed. And they have activities that they do in the remand homes. They eat, they sleep, they have activities. They come out, some of them better people.
Okay. Interesting. About the parent-children relationship, of course, some parents will report their child like, this child has very bad manners, I don't know what to do for them. Or some children even run away from their parents at home. How does police handle that?
First of all, Karen and the viewers, I want to tell you there's a huge breakdown in families these days. As parents, we've neglected our duties. We leave home early, we return late. Those who can afford take their kids to boarding. And there's an entire decay or breakdown of the family. When we're at home, we're on our phones, our kids are on TV, and maids are taking care of our kids. This has brought out a huge issue. And I think it's the environment. There's somebody who said that when there's a bad situation, good people come up and they put the situation back to good situation. And this develops into weak people. So I think we are weak parents. We are not doing what our parents did to us. Our kids are not the kids that we should be having. That is one. Two, we want to run away from our responsibilities. By the time a kid runs away from you or refuses to go to school, there's a problem with you. We are not involved in the upbringing of our kids today. We are not, and that's a fact. It's the maid who feeds, it's the maid who showers and washes and irons and dresses and takes sometimes, and the boarder takes the kid to school. So you have no input apart from paying money. So the kids are in their own world and we're in another world. That is number one. Number two, like I've told you, kids belong to government. So when we receive any complaint, we must respond. And I have told you we have specialized officers that manage kids as a department.
Yes.
So parents out there who have issues with their kids, instead of allowing your kid or defending your kid up to the point of the kid being killed, kids are abusing drugs, kids are involved in so ugly and criminal acts. Please report your kids to police.
Oh.
Because I have told you, police is pro people. Taking your kid to police doesn't mean the kid will kill or torture or run to Brazil and take your kid. There are departments that negotiate, there are departments that mediate, there are departments that counsel kids. Because you have no time for your kid, you can't tell your kid that pornography is bad, you cannot tell your kid that homosexual is bad. Bring your kid to police, and the police officer will put this kid down and say A, B, C, D. There are words you can't talk to your kids. There are things you cannot discuss with your kids. But a police officer who is not the mother but is trained is able to put your teen, a 14-year-old guy, and say, this is A, B, C, D. So feel free to visit the nearby police and discuss issues with police officers before your kid is arrested in those abusing drugs or is found in a Chibanda where they are doing Chimansuro. Come to police. Look for a department of family and child protection unit and talk to them about your kid. I was OC Bugorov, I think 10 years ago, and one parent came to ask me to go and scare her daughter. That's how they take us. They think we should scare or... And I said, why should I scare your daughter? He said, my daughter has refused to go to a school where we want her to go. She wants to go to another school. So before we reached, the kid had killed herself. She hanged herself in the house because she wanted Gayaza and this woman wanted Nabisunsa, and there was a disagreement. So please, if you realize there's a problem with your kid, come to police in time. If you are unable to talk to your kid, go to your pastor, go to your church leader, that is if you go to church, go to your mosque, go to your relatives, your singers, your aunt, and they talk to this child.
Okay.
So that we can save the child from crossing the red line.
All right. And lastly, I would like to ask about the street children. We have a spiraling number of street children living in the slum areas, taking on habits that they shouldn't. And I'd like to relate it to these people who grow up and become the highway robbers we're seeing, police handling. Recently, there was a case at the highway, as well as in Mukono. They caught another gang with arms. I wonder how they get the weapons, the guns and stuff. So what do you have to say about the street children?
The street child is not a normal person that you never get a kid that you know of on the street.
Yes.
We have different government departments that have tried to take these kids back to where they come from. Most of them come from the eastern part of Uganda, in the Karamoja area, and the Prime Minister's office and different departments have participated in taking these kids back. We've realized that there are some businessmen in those areas that facilitate the movement of these kids. These kids you see collecting money, they take the money to somebody at the end of the day. They are deployed on different streets. So government is fighting it, police is fighting it, but with time they grow into big criminal gangs. Big ones. They use pavers, they break into cars and take laptops, they do all sorts of things. So it's an issue that must be handled by everybody. It should be teamwork. Police alone cannot handle this. We need, like I told you, we need partners. We need church, we need the NGOs to have these kids taken back to where they come from. Number one, to be taken back to schools. Number three, to take them through religious activities. Somebody who has grown into church is less likely to be involved in crime. But where they develop or mature into gangs, then police will take them on. Like we had an operation which got more than 100 people on street, others on bypass, putting roadblocks at night. As a parent, you must ensure that your kid does not end up like that, because all those kids are produced by mothers and fathers. So it begins by you neglecting your kid. There is a possibility of your kid ending up into a gang master if you don't know what you're supposed to do. So we must start today. each person must do its part. Before police rounds them and does operation, as a father, you must talk to your kids. You must take them to school, you must take them to church, you must take them to visit their relatives back in the home when there's holidays. You must talk to them. Have that time when you talk to your child, so that you have a better country in the future.
Thank you so much for your time. Maybe if you have any last words for our viewers before we wrap up.
I want to thank you and the management here for giving us time. As an institution, we cannot talk to everybody. But when you go on TV, it's a multiplier effect. You're able to talk to people in different parts. So we want to thank you for giving us airtime, which is costly. Other companies pay you to be hosted here. Number two, I want to tell everybody watching that you have a stake in security. If you're a businessman and you have bought a padlock and you have put a security guard at your business, you're protecting your property, which is my mandate, to protect life and property. So you're also a police officer. Let's do our part. Let's visit police stations. I want somebody to wake up and you pass by your nearest police station, get the contacts of the OC, talk to them, find out what they do, find out how you can help them improve your community. You will be a better citizen and you'll be our partner. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think as media, we are doing our role of sensitization and putting the information out there. Thank you so much for being a part of Issues at Hand today. We'll see you next week. And of course, keep on our social media platforms. Before I leave, I'd like to remind you that Protea Hotel by Marriott is the place to be if you need a luxurious way to spend your evening, your morning, and your night, because they do have fully furnished rooms, a fully fledged kitchen, as well as a health club. I'm talking gym, swimming, and all the other things to make your life better. My name is Karen Owamani. Good morning. Have a